Thomas, 35 years old, no debt, not poor, but also not moving forward. And in just 60 days, he earned more than his total income from the previous 3 years combined. The question is, what happened during those 60 days? It wasn't luck. It wasn't hitting the jackpot. Thomas changed just one thing: how he used his time each day. He stopped working on autopilot, started learning new skills, and focused on what actually generates real income. A little every day, but he didn't quit. 60 days isn't long, but it's enough to change the direction of your entire life, if you do it right. Before you keep listening, are you stuck in a life that's not bad but not going anywhere? Every day feels exactly like the last. You're doing okay, getting by, but deep down, you know you're capable of more. It's not failure, just standing still for too long. If your answer is yes, then what comes next might be exactly what you need to hear. Thomas wasn't poor. He had a stable job, a steady monthly income, enough to cover everything he needed. From the outside, his life looked completely fine. No one complained, no one worried about him, but that was exactly the problem. Every night, after finishing a day that looked exactly like the one before, Thomas would sit quietly, staring at his phone, scrolling mindlessly, and the same thought kept echoing in his head. Maybe this is all my life will ever be. It wasn't because he failed. It wasn't because he was struggling or lacking anything. It was the feeling of being stuck in a version of life that was good enough, but never reaching his true potential. One day, his company hired someone new, 26 years old, almost a decade younger than Thomas, but the salary nearly the same. At first, Thomas didn't think much of it. He told himself, it's probably just temporary. But after a few weeks, things started to become clear. The new guy worked faster, more proactively. In meetings, he spoke concisely, clearly, and with confidence. Meanwhile, Thomas was still doing his job well, but he didn't stand out. He wasn't different. Then one meeting went on like any other. No drama, no one being criticized. But as Thomas looked around the room, he suddenly realized something that made him go quiet. If I don't change, I'll still be sitting here 5 years from now. Same chair, same job, same feeling of being okay, but not moving forward. That moment wasn't loud. No one noticed. But inside Thomas, something had just woken up. Not pressure from others, but a truth he could no longer ignore. That night, Thomas called an old friend, not a millionaire, not a guru or some internet famous figure, just a regular guy, but making around $1,200 a month from freelancing. They talked like old friends who hadn't caught up in a while. Thomas shared about his job, the feeling of being fine but stuck, about that meeting, and the thought that kept looping in his head. His friend didn't comfort him, didn't say things like, it'll all work out. He just paused for a moment, then said something simple. You're not lazy, you just don't have a system. Thomas froze. All this time, he thought he lacked discipline, that he wasn't good enough, not trying hard enough. But that sentence flipped the way he saw himself. The problem wasn't who he was, it was how he was running his life every day. And if the problem was the system, then it meant one thing: it could be changed. That night, Thomas called an old friend, not a millionaire, not a guru or some internet famous figure, just a regular guy, but making around $1,200 a month from freelancing. They talked like old friends who hadn't caught up in a while. Thomas shared about his job, the feeling of being fine but stuck, about that meeting, and the thought that kept looping in his head. His friend didn't comfort him, didn't say things like, it'll all work out. He just paused for a moment, then said something simple. You're not lazy, you just don't have a system. Thomas froze. All this time, he thought he lacked discipline, that he wasn't good enough, not trying hard enough. But that sentence flipped the way he saw himself. The problem wasn't who he was, it was how he was running his life every day. And if the problem was the system, then it meant one thing: it could be changed. Thomas's friend didn't give him some complicated, life-changing master plan. Instead, it was something incredibly simple. No waking up at 5 a.m., no quitting his job or starting over, Just a very basic plan. So simple that Thomas was skeptical at first. Only 3 things. Spend 30 minutes each day learning a skill that can make money. No need to learn too much. Just stay consistent. Every week, find and complete one small client job. Even if it's simple and low-paying, it still counts. And one important rule: never skip more than 2 days in a row. No pressure to be perfect. No need to be great right away. This plan didn't sound inspiring. It didn't give you that burst of motivation. But it was real. And more importantly, it was doable. For Thomas, for the first time, change no longer felt out of reach. Week 1, it was hard. Thomas sat in front of his screen for 30 minutes every day, but his mind kept drifting elsewhere. Phone notifications, the habit of scrolling TikTok, the frustration of not handling things right away. 30 minutes sounded short, but felt longer than he expected. Some days he just sat there, no focus, no clear progress. But at least he showed up. Week 2, he skipped 2 days in a row. No big reason, just tired, lazy, and a bit doubtful of himself. That familiar thought came back. Maybe this just isn't for me. But this time something was different. He didn't quit completely, because the plan was too simple to justify giving up on entirely. Week 3, he came back. Not because he felt motivated, no sudden burst of inspiration, just a simple thought. 30 minutes won't hurt, I'll just do it again. And that kept him going. Day 30, he made his first $20. Not much. Compared to his monthly salary, it was almost nothing. But for Thomas, it was the first time in years he made money from something he taught himself. That feeling was different. Not because of the money, but because of one clear thing. He was moving forward. Day 45, he got his 3rd client. The work was still small, the income still unstable, but things started to show signs of something real. It was no longer just trying things out. Day 60, his side income reached about 70% of his main salary. Not a full replacement yet, but enough for Thomas to realize if he keeps going, his life won't stay the same anymore. Thomas didn't quit his job right away. He still went to work every day, still sat at the same familiar desk. From the outside, almost nothing had changed. But on the inside, everything was different. He no longer felt stuck. No more thoughts like, maybe this is all my life will ever be. No more feeling like he was standing still while time kept moving. Instead, Thomas knew one thing very clearly. If he kept going like this in just 6 more months, his life would be different. Not because of luck, but because he was finally moving in the right direction. And for the first time in a long while, when he thought about the future, he didn't feel anxious or uncertain anymore. There was only one feeling left. I'm in control. This story isn't just about money. It's not about changing your life in 60 days either. It's about something much simpler. You're not stuck because you're not good enough. You're stuck because you don't have a system. Thomas wasn't smarter than anyone else. He didn't have any special advantages. The only thing that changed was how he acted every single day. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they start too big and quickly burn out. Because their expectations are too high, they get discouraged when they don't see results right away. And in the end, they quit before they ever see progress. A good system doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be simple enough that you don't quit. If you've made it this far, you might be exactly where Thomas was 60 days ago. Not bad, but not going anywhere. So try one simple thing. For the next 60 days, just 30 minutes a day. That's it. If you're truly serious, comment 60D below. I want to see who won't be stuck anymore in 2 months.